To the Piston Fanatic, I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like. Our Pistons lost a tough one tonight, 111-99, and again, the end of the game was proved to be our demise. We were tied with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left, 81-81, and they proceed to outscore us 30-18. And we made, as usual, we missed shots and made a lot of bad plays down the stretch. But we just got to get that worked out because there's some good signs. There's some real positive things that are happening with our team, with our young players, and we're going to get into that. But we got the trade deadline 4 days away, Thursday. And so I got to believe that there's teams that are going to make a deal, and I can't believe, I'll be shocked if our Pistons don't make at least one deal. But there's just too many teams that need things, and there's too many teams that are desperate. There's too many teams that are going to want to make cap space and get rid of contracts. So hopefully something works out in our favor, and we'll see what happens there. But we got to fly out west, and on Tuesday, but we play Wednesday at Sacramento, and the Kings are 10 games over 500, and I think they got a couple guys that have a point to prove. Sabonis and Fox both got left off the All-Star game, and so their team, I think, most people think that they got the biggest snub, that not one of their guys made the team. So when two Lakers made it, and they're like 500. So anyway, that just happens in the voting. But we turn around and play the Blazers on Thursday. So we're playing back to back against the Blazers. So that's the one game that's probably winnable. But they have Ayton, and they have Anthony Simons and Shaden Sharp, and some of their guys are injured, and they have Scoot and Jeremy Grant, who's having a heck of a year. They have a lot of players. They have Brogdon, he's a great veteran player, so they have really good veteran players, and they've been unhealthy a lot this year too, like the Pistons. But then we got to play the Clippers and the Lakers and the Suns, and so that's going to be murderer's row right there. But rest in peace, Earl Cureton, Earl the Twirl. He had the spin move that he always made. He was fun to watch. He just announced the game a couple nights ago, so this was very unexpectedly. He was only 66. He had just written a book. He played at Detroit Mercy, but he also played for our Detroit Pistons, and everybody, by all accounts, adored him. And a lot of the people, Greg Kelser, and they were great friends with him and had spent time with him just 2 nights before, and so it was really sad. A lot of people were really disappointed, so that's tough. But first half of the game tonight, though, the core four, people ask me why he's calling the core four, but Cade, Ivey, Duran, and Ausar were 16 for 21. That's 76% in the first half. The rest of our team, 1 for 18. That's 5%. So Ivey came right out of the gate, and in the first 2 minutes, it was insane. We scored, I think, and then they were inbounding it, and the rebound, and Ivey stole the outlet pass. He just snuck around him, and they didn't see him, and he stole it, got a layup, comes down the court, he gets a defensive rebound, comes back down the court, he gets a three, goes back down the other end, and blocks a shot, all within the first 2 minutes. So he's been playing incredible. His second half wasn't so great tonight, and down the stretch he had some problems, but he played great. I think in the second half he didn't touch the ball nearly enough, which often happens with him, but he's been touching it more. He had a huge game against the Clippers, an all-star type game against the Clippers. So it's still positive. We still got, like I said, the core four, they got to play. He didn't play Ausar enough. He played 27 minutes. So that's a huge step for Monty, so we're glad about that. But I just want you to take a step back and let's just think about this. So we had Jaden Ivey, who was playing sensational basketball, and he couldn't get on the court because we had to play Killian Hayes. So there was a report by James Edwards III, and I knew right away, that Monty, when he took the job and starts talking about the team, and he talks about Killian, he likes big guards, and he likes this, that Killian does that. So then they were going to trade him we were going to trade. We had a trade, and Monty said, "Oh, no, I think I can get something out of him. I think I like the way he plays and stuff." And so we kept him. And so, and it didn't make any sense. I knew before the season because we traded for Monty Morris and we drafted Sasser. So it made no sense what was going to happen with Killian, except Monty happened to Killian, and so he got to play all those minutes. But anyway, it just think about that and think about Isaiah Livers, who couldn't rebound or he really couldn't defend that well, and he shot 25% on threes, and we're playing him ahead of Ausar, and Asar's just been great lately too. So it's just something to think about, and how you know Monty's evaluation of talent, and even where we're at as far as we again over and over, our number one priority is to develop our players, and especially the core four. And I would put in Sasser now. I think he's shown enough that he needs to play minutes, and he's not going to be consistent. And I'm not, all those other guys, I want him to play 30 minutes, but Sasser, I don't necessarily. I think if he plays 20 to 25 minutes, I'm happy. But you also have to let them make mistakes, and they're not always going to play great like Ivey's been playing the last 5 games. He's been sensational the last 5 games. His 3-point percentage is up to like 40% during the last 5 games. But in Ausar defensively, when so listen to this. So the last game I did a podcast for afterwards. We played Mitchell and for Cleveland, and he scores 20 on us in the fourth quarter, and Ausar doesn't see the court when he's doing it. So, but against Damian Lillard this year, he's 5 for 16, 31% when Ausar was guarding him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, first team All NBA, he's 3 for 9, 33% when Ausar guards him. Tyrese Maxey, All Star, 13%, 1 for 8 when Ausar guards him. Therese Halliburton, 2 for 8, 25% when he's being defended by Ausar. LaMelo Ball, 2 for 8, 25%. Anthony Edwards, 33%, 2 for 6. And Mitchell, he guarded him on four possessions and 0 for 4. And so tonight he blocked Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner tore us up tonight, but he blocked his shot twice. And there was a time that he got one-on-one. It was so cool. Banchero tried to go at him, and Ausar just stayed there and just played him. And it just was, he just walled up on him, and he couldn't, I think he got a bad shot off. And another time he guarded him, he couldn't get a shot off. And Monty's right. There is one thing about, you put a great defender like Ausar on a great offensive player, and then they set a pick, and then we switch, and then he's not on him anymore. So anyway, yeah, Franz had 38 tonight. He tied his career high, but at one point he was 4 for 5 on threes, and he's a 30% shooter, not a 31% shooter. He's a 30% 3-point shooter, and he's 4 for 5 on us. So those things happen, and that's frustrating, that we just have a hard time with that. But they have a tough lineup in it down the stretch, man. They had a big lineup in there with Franz and Banchero and Wendell Carter and Jonathan Isaac. And then Suggs is a tough defender. He's not tall, but those other 4 guys are big and can move. And so that was their defense they had against us down the stretch. But we just, down the stretch, but we just, I guess there's not a better word than choke, because it happens. It's happened so many times this year. And so we just have to figure that out the end of games. And that's, I think, going to happen with maturity. And, Cade missed 2 free throws. Cade is a 80% free throw shooter. He misses 2 free throws down in the last 4 minutes of the game, or 3 minutes of the game. And he missed a drive. He drove to the basket and had a nice layup. Like it was contested, but it was very, very makeable, and he missed it. Then he had a bad turnover. He's trying to drive it in there and force it in through things, and he got the ball knocked away and stolen. And so he did that. And Ivey missed a couple shots. Ivey was on fire and shot unbelievably well, but he missed 2 shots down the stretch and had a terrible turnover. And Bogey shot an air ball on a 3, and it just was like a nightmare. The last, we were within striking distance, and like I said, with 10 minutes to go, we were tied even, and then even with like 4 minutes to go, it still was like a 7-point game. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it just was really tough to watch and very disappointing. Another bad thing that happened that made a difference: 9:40 left in the third quarter. Duran picks up his third foul, and I just talked about all the size they had. So we're out there, and I know people are excited about Muscala and Gallinari, and they've had some good moments, and they've shot the ball well and stuff, but they did not tonight, and they just have a hard time guarding. They try hard, they're smart, they know how to play, but their feet don't move fast enough. They can't jump high enough. They're not quick enough, and so and then they haven't been shooting that great this year, and they haven't got much playing time this year, even on the Wizards, who were a bad team. So yeah, I mentioned the core four were first half 16 for 21, 76%. The rest of our team 1 for 18, 5%. And so that was, in the first half. And the whole game, I got some more stats on that too, that our veteran players that we counted on for shooting, they struggled. So that was, really hard to watch. So, real quick, I'm going to hit on the Clippers game. We lost 136 to 125, but Ivey had 28 points. He was 11 for 18, 3 for 8 on threes, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Duran was 11 points, 5 for 7, 13 rebounds. Great game for Duran. Cade, 17 points, 11 assists. Sasser was on fire. Sasser was 21 points, 8 for 10 shooting, 5 for 6 on threes. And Bogey had a really good game against the Clippers. But again, we faltered down the stretch. Bogey had 26, was 9 for 13. And I wish he was that way tonight, because tonight, like I said, our veterans, so Bogey, Gallo, Muscala, Morris combined, our veterans, who are supposed to be our shooters, 4 for 22 and 1 for 13 on threes. So, it's hard. The Clippers have one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but still, it's hard when you shoot the three that bad when you're 8 for 31. But those guys that are supposed to be our marksmen and our veteran leadership, and they struggled. So, Bogey played 32 minutes, 3 for 11. He was great last game, but he's 1 for 7 on threes tonight. Out of all those guys, he was the only one that made one. He's 4 for 4 on free throws, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 16 points, minus 11. So not a great night for Bogey, and he's out there trying, but Knox. And so this is where I'm in. And so Monty did it for me. We'll see. You just get your hopes up, and hopefully he played Ausar. He took Knox out early. He took him out early, and I think in the first quarter, and put Ausar in, and he took him out early in the second quarter, because Knox has had too many games. He didn't play much, but he's 13 minutes, 0 for 3, 0 for 2 on threes, and 0 points. And so you just got to let the young guy play. You just got to let the young guy play. He's doing these crazy things, and again, the stats. I'm going to read the stats, but they don't show things. I know in the first half, the ball goes up, and there's a contested rebound. One of the Magic go for it, and Ausar tips it away from him, and Cade gets the ball, and so I'm sure Cade got the rebound. And another times he gets his hands on balls. Monty mentioned how many deflections he gets, and sometimes we get it, but like I said, he blocked 3 shots, and he changed other shots, and he stopped guys from scoring. And I read off about how elite he is defensively, and I just want him to play. So I want him to start. And what do we got to lose? You've heard me say that before. We've lost a lot of games, and Ausar's just doing these magical things. And again, him and Ivey aren't going to, and Cade, they're not going to be great every night, and Duran, but those are our guys, and they've showed such great flashes of playing and super basketball. So Duran only played 26 minutes. So I understand he 9 minutes left in the third quarter, a lot of time, way too much time. He picked up 2 fouls right away in the third, and then he's got 4 fouls. So I would have taken him out if I'm coach, but he took him out with not over 9 minutes left in the third quarter. He didn't put him in until 7 some minutes left in the fourth, and he had only 4 fouls. So I would have put him in before that, because he was well rested, because he hadn't played. So he finished playing only 26 minutes. He did pick up his 5th foul, but he never did pick up a 6th foul. And when you're losing, when you're a coach and you're losing, then you got a guy in foul trouble, you just play him. And he should have just put him in earlier. But anyway, he was 7 for 7 And we have a lot of guys that were really, even Bogey lobbed him, did an alley oop to him, and he dunked it. So 7 for 7, 1 for 1 on his free throws, only 5 rebounds because he didn't play as many minutes. But he had the 5 fouls, 15 points in only 26 minutes. Cade didn't have a great game. He's okay, 31 minutes, 6 for 14, 1 for 3 on threes. But again, a bunch of his misses were down the stretch, and that's kind of what he's done. But I think Monty did the right thing probably again, playing him 31 minutes. I always wanted to see him out there in the game, but I felt like most of the time when he, doesn't play as well down the stretch, it's because he's fatigued when he's playing like over 35 minutes or so. But he had 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, only 1 turnover, 18 points. So Ivey, 35 minutes, 7 for 12. Again, he started out red hot. He was 7 for 10. I know again he missed his last 2 shots, but he didn't touch it much in the second half. I guarantee you that. 1 for 3 on threes, 2 for 3 on free throws. He had 4 offensive rebounds. Oh, I'm sorry, got messed up. That's Ausar that got 4 offensive rebounds, but Ivey got 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, but he had 4 turnovers. So that wasn't good, and he'd be the first one to tell you that, and so that has to change. But you still got to play him, and he did play 35 minutes, but 18 points, minus 12. Gallo, only 16 minutes, but he 0 for 5 and 0 for 4 on threes, and 2 for 2 from the line. And he's older and he's not very mobile and he hasn't played that much, and he's out there doing his best. And one thing this has shown us with Muscala and Gallo in the game, that if we can get a 3-point threat that's a big guy that can also play some defense, then it would be real helpful to our team, and I think we would be more successful. So we'll see if we can do that at the trade deadline or in the off season. Hopefully not in the draft. I want to get a 4 that can rebound and shoot the 3 and play defense. But a couple guys there I really like. So anyway, again, Ausar, 27 minutes. So that's okay. 27 minutes is okay, but I really want to see him play 30. He doesn't get tired out there. I love this kid. If he talked in the press conference, just the way he conducts himself on the court, the way he talks, how hard he plays, and he's everywhere, and he never seems to be panicked or stressed, but he's out there. I just love everything about his attitude and his demeanor. But he was 7 for 10, 70% he shot, and 1 for 3 on threes. So it is hard. That's still the challenge is, to have him to shoot threes or not to shoot threes. But I still think he can be effective even if he doesn't try to. Monty said that they want him to shoot. So I assumed he was talking about threes, but he was 2 for 3 from the line. He got 4 offensive rebounds tonight, and he challenges for all of them. And when he goes up, he got 2 of them for dunks, offensive rebounds, where he just slides in there and flies. He soars. Soars. He also had 1 assist, 1 steal, but he had the 3 blocks, which was awesome, and 17 points. So Muscala, he played 14 minutes and never shot the ball. He got 1 rebound, so he didn't do much. He's out there trying. Monty Morris, this was disappointing. He only played 9 minutes, and he was 1 for 5 and 0 for 2 from 3. So 4 rebounds and 2 points. So I don't know what's going to happen. Like I've talked before, we have to, if we're going to play Sasser, we need to play Cade, we need to play Ivey. There's not a lot of minutes, and then we got to decide who are we keeping for next year. And so, there's not enough minutes to play Burks, and I don't know if Morris has any trade value, and I thought he would, and I think a lot of teams would rely on a good, but he hasn't got to play much. He got injured so much of the season, so he's never really got a chance to get in the groove. And then now they ask Monty about, is Sasser getting to play these minutes because Monty Morris is not in shape yet, or is he playing just because you have to play him because he's good? And Monty said it's the second one. It's because he's good. And so, that's tough on Morris. He wants to play. And if we wanted to trade him, because it just makes sense that if we have Cade, Ivey, and Sasser that can all play the point, and they're all young, and they're all going to be around, that we don't need, an extra. We would need a backup point guard, but we would need somebody. We wouldn't need to have somebody as good as Monty Morris, but I'm not sure what his trade value is if we package him or anyway, because he's a free agent. So, and again, I think teams might not want to trade for him and Burks, but they're going to want to sign him at the end of the year because they're unrestricted free agents. So Burks started out slow. He's played 19 minutes, 3 for 7, 1 for 3 on threes, 3 for 3 on free throws, and 3 rebounds and 10 assists. So Sasser only played 10 minutes, and that's what's hard. You just can't play all those guards. There's just not enough minutes to go around. So he played 10 minutes, 2 for 4, 2 for 3 on threes. He made a three as a step back three with the shot clock running down. That was tough. But he still has struggles. It seemed like he had for sure 2 turnovers, but he ended up with 6 points. But he is showing flashes of being real good. And so in a season where you're losing, you might as well develop them. These guys can't get better unless they play. That's the only way. That's how you get better. You're not going to get better by this point in the season. We're going out west. We're going to have a walkthrough. We play back to back, and then we play every other day. And there's just not time that you're going to improve in practice, and there's not going to be time you're going to improve doing individual workouts at this point. You got the off season, you get to do that, but now they need to play. So Pistons shot 45% to the Magic 54%. They shot 42% on threes, which they're not a good three-point shooting team. We shot only 26. We shot more free throws and shot a better percentage. We were 19 for 22. They were 11 for 15. But rebounding was just one difference, but they killed us in the paint. They were 62 points in the paint, and we had 50. Turnovers got us again, as most times it happens. We had 15 turnovers, which isn't ridiculous, but it's not good because they got 17 points off it, and they only had 10 turnovers. So, like I said, it was real tough. It was tough for people. Rest in peace, Earl Cureton. And I think that I got to see some good things. They, Ivey doesn't to get an Ivey a touch. And with Ausar in the game, they ran did a pick down for Ivey. He pops the ball goes to the wing. He pops right to the middle to the top. Ausar comes up and does a pick and roll with Ivey, and Ivey hits him with a nice bounce pass for a dunk. And so those are things that we need to see more, where they have some movement and everybody's not standing there, and we're just not like we do in the fourth quarter, where each guy thinks they have to try to win the game. And yeah, we'll see what happens, but there's some bad stretches in the game, and there's again for them they had a real good stretch where they had at the beginning of the fourth quarter, where they were at the start of the fourth quarter, in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter they scored 20 points, and we were still close then from a lot of that time, but they were 8 for 8 and 4 for 4 on threes, and again they are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. But our bench has had some good games, and now tonight, we had Burks, Gallo, Muscala, Burks. So we had a stretch in the first half when Burks was in. He was 0 for 3. Gallo was 0 for 3. Muscala didn't shoot. Sasser was 0 for 1, and Ivey was in there and he made some shots. But I liked it that they played Ivey with the second unit, and I think that's something that Monty's done some things that are a little bit better. But anyway, we're gonna have some late nights, so time I do the podcast, I'm gonna be getting to bed really late when they're out there on the West Coast. But I appreciate you listening, and be the reason that somebody feels cared for and loved. And go Pistons.